Okay, everybody, this is Dr. Ryan Sousley, and this is your 5 Minutes of Fire today. This is pro triathlete Derek Garcia, also a very good friend of mine and my personal triathlon coach. And I'm really excited to bring you this video today because Derek being a friend of mine and us both living in the same town, we have the rare opportunity to actually race in the same half Ironman triathlon 2 days from now. And so we're down here just kind of getting prepared and just getting ready for the race, and wanted to bring Derek to you guys just for a few minutes while we have him. And so Derek, you know, a lot of people that are listening to this, they see someone like you who's a professional triathlete. You know, you do, how many races a year do you do?
Yeah, 8 to 10.
So 8 to 10 races. How many of those are full Ironman distance triathlon?
So oftentimes I'll do 2 fulls, and then I might do 6 or 7 half Ironmans, and 2 fulls would be like a typical year that I would do, and then maybe some smaller sprints and Olympics locally.
Yeah. So when I think about that, even though I've done a handful of, a couple of halves, a couple of fulls, even to me that just sounds crazy and really daunting. And I know a lot of people that are watching are like, I'm trying to get myself to just do a 5K,
sure.
Let alone a sprint distance triathlon or an Olympic or a half, and let alone a full Ironman distance triathlon. So maybe talk about the mindset that you had the first time that you did your first ever full distance Ironman triathlon, and
sure.
what it took to actually accomplish your first one.
Yeah, I mean, I came from a non-endurance background, so it took me 3 years to build up to my first Ironman race, and it was just really incremental, and at first I really struggled with both the swim and the run, and so I remember just having to barely bump my distances up, and I had to really work hard at just little things to get better. But yeah, I set a real big long-term goal, but it just came with little tiny achievements along the way.
Yeah, well, I know that's one of the things that you've helped me with, is just setting little goals every day, because again, for a lot of people watching this, they're probably thinking, I could never do an Ironman, or that's just such a huge goal. And I think like one thing you were telling me is if you think about the end result and then you get off course even just a little bit, like you have a bad week of training or you miss a week of training, you get injured, and then you see yourself not on that trajectory to hit that big goal. If you don't have a bunch of little goals in between your start and finish,
right,
then it's really easy to get knocked off. So what are like some simple practical tips that you could tell people just to start, because
sure.
we're talking to people that some of them might be pretty seasoned athletes, and but a lot of people are just like, I just need to get off my butt and start moving again.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think like what I was saying, just building a consistent routine is super important to start. Not getting discouraged along the way, because the reality is that when you make a big goal, you're gonna have things that go wrong, but not letting that detract you from getting up the next day to do it. I think that's just staying positive in the process is really important, because it's easy to feel like maybe this isn't going the speed that I want it to go. Maybe this is harder than I thought it was. But I think the reality is, even if you set a big goal and you don't quite meet it, you'll feel good about the fact that you've just grown as a person.
Totally. Yeah. So I know a lot of people are wondering, is there ever a day where you sleep in and skip a workout?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because I think about, for a long time I swam at 5 a.m. with a group, and I remember every time, I would say 90% of the time, I would agonize getting up to swim with that group. But there wasn't one time that I went and after I was done, I didn't go, oh, I wish I would have stayed in bed.
Yeah.
But I would say most of the times that I stayed in bed and didn't go, I regretted it. But at the same time, I think you do have to give yourself some leeway, right? I mean, sometimes you do get sick, sometimes you really do need the rest. But I try to afford those days few and far between.
So I like the vein that we're in. What would you tell people? Because I think what I hear is, as a doctor, all my patients always tell me, I know the things that I should be doing, I just can't get myself to do them consistently.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so maybe speak to that. Like, what do you tell yourself, or how do you set up systems in your life so that you make sure, and for the most part, because obviously you're a pro, you're not skipping a lot of workouts. Sure. You might, skip 1 or 2 here or there, but how do you get your mindset or set your life up in a way so that on the days that you really want to sleep in, you get yourself out of bed anyway, other than just sheer willpower.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think what it comes down to is that, you know, I oftentimes remind myself what it's going to take to meet those big goals. And so, I mean, I don't think it's a day that goes by that I don't have that in, you know, that I remind myself in the morning, like, hey, if you want to have this thing down the road, you have to do it. You know, you have to do it today. So I think that it's just that it's constantly on my mind. You know, and so I wake up in the morning with that. Even though the first thing that might come up is I want to sleep in, I do remind myself that it's going to take commitment over lots and lots of days, sometimes years, to meet goals. And so that's what I think about.
Totally. Do you ever cheat on your nutrition?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell everybody what's your favorite cheat food.
Heath flavored, or like the Heath toffee in ice cream.
Oh.
That's probably my favorite. I like toffee in general, but in ice cream for sure. Or like drumsticks, you know, those are pretty good. But yeah, I actually...
Ice cream ones or the actual chicken?
No, drumstick ice creams.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not sponsored by them, but maybe I should try to...
No, I meant like
out.
Chicken wings. Like...
No, not chicken wings. No, I definitely cheat, so for sure.
So how, because that's another one. I mean, obviously, you know, willpower and systems to be consistent with your exercise and getting up in the, I mean, we live in North Idaho, so 65% of the year, it's cold, dark, rainy. When it's time to get up out of bed, go work out, and you just got to push yourself through it and do it anyway. But with nutrition, you know, what would you tell people that really struggle with being consistent with nutrition? Now, obviously, you know, like you were talking about your body being like a Ferrari. You know, obviously you want to put good fuel into it, and you're competing at the highest level possible. But what about people that are just trying to start making a change?
Yeah.
How can they stay more consistent or be more motivated to be better with their nutrition?
Well, I think one of the things that you have to remember is that making a change nutritionally, your body is going to feel good with the changes that you make. So when you make healthy changes nutritionally, at first it might be difficult, but the reality is that you know, you're gonna feel better. Like I know now, like once I completely get my system to a place where I'm eating pretty clean, you know, when I go out and have just like that fast food hamburger or whatever, which I definitely still crave, you know, I can just tell that I feel worse. And so I think reminding yourself that you ultimately are gonna feel better just in your day-to-day living is part of it. But then also I think too, it's just a matter of thinking about the fact that, hey, maybe at first I just work on portion sizes, and then after I get portion sizes down, then I start to, you know, each meal like work one at a time, versus just trying to make a whole makeover is pretty hard. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've found to be the most beneficial with our patients is build cheat meals into your routine. Sure. You know, because if you're always strict all the time and you never let yourself sleep in, or you never let yourself have that drumstick or whatever it is that you eat, you know, then life just becomes kind of like just militant, and it's like there's no like opportunity to just kind of let loose. But I will say, and you mentioned this too, that your body's going to crave what you give it most. Yeah. You know, and so that I've found that too with my own nutrition and with tons of patients now, that when you start eating clean, you know, in the beginning you may be trying to force yourself to eat clean just because you know it's good for you. Sure. But in the long run, you know, after a couple of months or so, you're going to notice like, man, I have so much more energy and I'm losing weight and I feel better and I get better sleep at night, and, you know, blood pressure's going down, all these things. And so it's going to make you want to eat more healthy, because then it's just like the Ferrari thing. Like you would never take a Ferrari and put crappy gasoline into it, because you want to get the most out of the Ferrari and you don't want to ruin it.
Absolutely. No, I think the biggest thing, like I think a really good example of that is I've found that when I have been eating well over a long period of time, if I don't have, like especially in the evening, if I don't have foods that are going to help digest what I've eaten during the day, you know, foods with good enzymes in them, I really can tell a big difference, like when I go to sleep, just kind of feeling like I still have food in my gut, and then also the next morning, just how much more lethargic I feel. That's one of the biggest things that I feel a difference when I'm eating clean versus, you know, just whatever.
Well, as we wrap this up, I know there's a bunch of people watching this locally. Anything you want to say to your fan base in the Inland Northwest?
Sure. No, you know, I love racing here locally. Every time I go and race, I feel like people support me. Like I can feel the local support, even though I'm out of town. But here, I get to hear it and see it, you know, right there with me. And so, yeah, I've always been incredibly thankful to this community. Just, you know, all my teachers and mentors and you know, important people have really, you know, they mostly come from this area. So I love racing here.
Well, we really appreciate your heart and your drive and just your commitment to helping make this community a better place. And I'm looking forward to at least watching you take off. Definitely won't see you finish because I'll be only about halfway through the race. You'll see me finish. You'll probably already be dressed and showered and recovered. But really excited for Sunday.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.